Welcome everybody, and I'm going to start with saying Happy New Year, although I realise we are now in the middle of January, but Happy New Year. And welcome to today's IMechE STEM Ambassador Being an Inspiring STEM Ambassador training session. To those of you that don't know me, I'm Jelena Gacesa, the Education Outreach and Safeguarding Lead at the Institution of Mechanical Engineers. And it is my pleasure to host the last webinar in this series of IMechE STEM Ambassador trainings alongside Alex Knight from Stemazing. The usual now, before we begin, I need to let you know that the webinar is being recorded and will thereafter be available on IMechE Education web pages, should you wish to share, revisit any of the material, or come back to it at a later date. One of the institution's key strengths lies in its membership, and the IMechE STEM Ambassadors are a valued asset of the institution. Our education strategy looks to promote the value of engineering to society at large and aims to enable the inspiration and retention of young people in engineering. IMechE STEM Ambassadors and the outreach you do is instrumental to the achievement of our wider strategic objectives. The training sessions we're offering aim to upskill existing STEM ambassadors, as well as encourage others to consider the role. We hope to showcase what's involved and to provide the opportunity for ambassadors to practice and refine their skills. The trainings are available to all IMechE members, whether they're already registered as STEM ambassadors or considering getting involved in outreach in the UK or further afield. Today's session, like I said, is the last in this webinar training series, which we've been providing freely on a monthly basis. We will continue training in 2022, and the dates will be available and announced shortly on the education webpage, which I will put on the chat so you have it. And now, without further ado, I'll pass on to Alex.
Super, thank you, Jelena, and Happy New Year to everybody from me as well. Fantastic to see lots of people joining today. Yeah, just to reiterate, if you want to catch up, if you've missed any of these and this is your first one, then please do go and catch up on the ones that are available on the IMechE website so you can see those. I'm going to share my screen so we can start today's session. Hopefully you can see that fine. Super, I'm just going to see if I can actually still see the chat in case any questions come in the chat. And also, if anybody wants to mention anything at any point, like, it's great for these to be interactive. So please do put your digital hand up if you've got a point to share or a question at all. Or put your questions in the chat, and hopefully Jelena can keep an eye on that if I'm getting carried away with what I'm talking about. We're also going to be using Slido today for some interactive polls. So if you have another device like your phone or another tab on your computer you can use to go to slido.com, then you'll be able to join in with the live poll. Okay, awesome. So I'm super excited to do this final session in this series that we originally planned. And yeah, it's going to be the usual kind of setup where we do the first half of the session talking about how you can develop your personal skills as a STEM ambassador. And then the second half of the session helping you build your interactive STEM toolkit with one of the IMechE STEM at Home activities that we'll run through live. So if you've got the bits and pieces that you need for that, today we're doing the ball run, so that will be super fun. Okay, so if you haven't been to one of these before and you don't know who I am, I'm Alex Knight. I'm the founder and CEO of a social enterprise called Stemazing, which is a not-for-profit. I am a chartered mechanical engineer and a fellow with the IMechE. So I do a lot with the IMechE, and I've supported the IMechE a lot, and vice versa. They've supported me a lot over the years. I founded Stemazing in 2019, really just kind of as an extra outlet for all my passion around inspiration and inclusion in STEM. And I'm really pleased to be working with the IMechE to provide these training sessions for you as our valuable STEM ambassadors. So if you want to know anything more about Stemazing, feel free to check out my website or get in touch with me directly on LinkedIn. Super. Okay. So as I said, we've been through, this is the 5th in our series. So we've been through a number of these sessions already and covered quite a range of different STEM activities. So to build your confidence with those, with delivering those live yourself with students, I would really recommend actually practicing them, you know, and getting comfortable with delivering them yourself, which doing it live, either as part of this session or with your own friends and family, or even just recording yourself delivering it so that you can kind of give yourself a bit of feedback about how you do it, is really, really valuable, because practice just makes you feel so much more confident when delivering these activities. And what we're going to talk about today is being an inspiring STEM ambassador. So I'm sure all of you are inspiring people. You've all got your unique, valuable story to tell that will absolutely inspire others. So this is really about encouraging you to get out there and spread the love of mechanical engineering and STEM more broadly with everyone, not just children. So on to inspiring your audience. Now, this is really, really important that we have this in our minds, that this is what we are doing as STEM ambassadors, because in my opinion, this is our key role as STEM ambassadors. It's to leave our audience, whoever that audience is, feeling inspired about STEM, about engineering. Jelena, are you able to let people in who are in the waiting room? That would be super helpful if you can. Actually, it might be because I need to make you co-host. So let me just do that super quickly in case anyone else joins.
Yeah, I wanted to say I can't see them, otherwise I would.
Yeah, sorry, I'll just make you co-host and then you can do that. Okay, here we go. Make co-host. Okay, hopefully that's all right. Yeah, so I really feel like, for me personally, this is a huge part of our role. If you look at the definition of a role model, which you are when you are going out and talking to people, it's these 3 I's: inform, influence, and inspire. So of course, we're informing our audience. We're giving them some information that's valuable to them. We are hopefully influencing them by being that visible role model. We'll hopefully influence their future decisions and help open their eyes to the possibilities in an engineering career for them. But we have to leave our audience feeling inspired, because otherwise it won't leave that lasting legacy that we want. So really the inspiration piece is the piece that will have the biggest impact in terms of the message and kind of the legacy you're leaving as a STEM ambassador. So we really want to think about, when you're doing public engagement, whether that is a talk, whether that's an interactive hands-on session, whether that's face-to-face in person, or whether it's online, always think about, how do you want the audience to feel? Okay, because the audience will remember how they felt more really than remembering exactly what you said. So if you leave them feeling inspired, you know, wowed, excited, in awe, those kind of things, then that will have a lasting impact more than precisely what you said. And I'm sure we've all had those instances where we've been in the audience and we've either felt inspired by whatever we're watching, be it a TED talk or a really amazing, you know, like, I don't know, presentation at a conference or a video, or we haven't, you know, and then you really feel like you've kind of, you know, those are minutes or hours of your life you're not going to get back if you leave feeling uninspired. It's like the absolute opposite of what we want. So it's really, really important that we think about how we're going to inspire the audience. So this is really about how you deliver your message, how you run your session. And of course, preparation is key to this, just as much as preparation is key in terms of planning what you're going to say, feeling prepared in terms of how you're going to deliver the session will really set you up for success when it comes to making an impact in terms of leaving them inspired. Now, I really want to hear what you think about this, because I think everybody may have like slightly different views and opinions on what leaving your audience inspired means or how you do that. So I want to go to the first Slido poll. So if you go to slido.com, and you will be asked to put in a code, and hopefully that code will be, hold on a second. So that code is, oh, I've lost it. There we go, 036340. So if you go to that code, 036340, then you should see a poll come up. Now, while you're going on there, the question is, what do you think inspires an audience? So if you can go on there and have a look at that. Now, it's not working for me to share it on my screen for some reason. So hopefully you can see that your side. I wonder if I'll put the number in the chat so you can see that. Okay, so the code is 036340. So hopefully you can see that coming up for you. Jelena, are you able to double check if that's coming up?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. Okay, so we're getting lots of brilliant feedback. Thank you. So enthusiasm of the presenter, absolutely. Energy, passion, something achievable, yes. Visual prompts, your smile and energy, absolutely, thank you. Something that they can relate to, yeah, absolutely. Interesting topics, yeah. Energy, passion, yes, absolutely. Relatability, yes, I love that. Anecdotes, yes, so anecdotes, making it sort of tangible, giving them like a little story to remember. Make it fun, yes, thank you. A happy presenter, yeah, somebody who looks like they're actually enjoying what they're doing makes a big difference, doesn't it? Showing them meaningful work, yeah, fantastic. Achievable ideas, lots of things coming up about passionate, having a passionate presenter, being personable, so having that, you know, not feeling intimidating. Confidence, so I presume you mean confidence in the presenter, so they look confident. Having emotion in what you're saying. Vision of the future, yes, that can be very inspiring and linking to what we're talking about in engineering. Amazing, thank you so much. There's loads of fantastic ideas in there, thank you so much. Absolutely, I completely agree. Like, it's so much kind of dependent on us as the communicator, as the kind of vehicle for that message, that what we get across actually leaves the audience feeling motivated and inspired. So that's definitely worth thinking about how you deliver that message, not just what you are saying. And a few kind of hints and tips that I would say to maybe add to some of the things you've put in that poll is to think about remembering that it's not about you. So when you get in front of people, I have to say, I have been to some presentations where I feel like the presenter is using this as an opportunity to show how much they know about a subject, you know, to kind of show everybody how clever and impressive they are, which is, you know, that's okay in a way, but it kind of makes you as the audience feel like, okay, well, this is about them. It's like their show. It's not about me. Whereas really what we want is for the audience to feel like they are the center of attention. They are the special person in the room. So if you go in thinking it's not about me, it's about my audience right from the start, before you even start preparing anything, it can help you get in the right mindset for your prep. And then the other thing is to think, so who is your audience? You need to get on their level. So obviously, if you're talking about your career and your sort of your journey as an engineer, you are going to communicate that in a very different way if you're talking to a bunch of 6-year-olds compared to a bunch of 16-year-olds. So you're going to communicate it in quite a different way. So think about how you get on their level to make sure that you are able to communicate in a way that really resonates with them. And somebody put this in the poll, actually, make it relevant and tangible. So something they can actually relate to. You know, I think one of the things, the problems we have in engineering is that people don't understand really what engineering is, or the fact that engineering is everywhere and all around us. So if you're able to make what you do relevant and tangible by giving some real life examples that will relate to them, something they've experienced in their life, then that's perfect. And also provide a clear message. So what is the one takeaway that you want your audience to have? What is the single thing, if they remember nothing else, that you want them to remember at the end of the day? And if you think about the IMechE strapline, improving the world through engineering, that's quite a nice thing to tap onto, isn't it? And you can make sure that you keep reiterating that message and that comes across. So that could be sort of, you know, the kind of the string that ties it all together in your whole story. And if possible, which is one of the elements of these training sessions we've been doing, make it interactive, involve your audience. So at the very minimum, kind of getting some feedback and some like dialogue, you know, question and answer, or even just, you know, put your hand up if you've experienced this, or put your hand up if you, I don't know what STEM stands for if you're talking to really young kids. Start off getting it as interactive as you can. And if you can do actually practical hands-on element of it, get them creating something, then that really does leave a lasting impact. And this came across loads in the poll. So let your enthusiasm shine through. So you will have a passion about something in your life and hopefully related to your career. And that's why you want to get out there and spread your love of engineering to others. So don't hold back. Don't feel, you know, self-conscious about your energy. Let that come through. And I have to say, in my experience, it's very easy to think that we are being enthusiastic. And actually how we come across is maybe a bit more dulled down than we think. So get some practice with seeing yourself delivering, like record it, get someone to feed back to you, because that is quite eye-opening and can raise your own self-awareness of how you come across when you present. So, you know, do I need to actually make a bit of effort to notch it up a bit, or maybe tone it down a bit, depending on what your audience needs? And again, I think it's really relevant to the age group of the audience, because the younger children who maybe have a slightly shorter attention span, the more you can be energetic with them, the more you will keep hold of their attention for longer. Okay, now what I really want to do actually is get on to the next section, because in here I'm going to ask you to do some of this yourself. I'm going to go into breakout rooms because I really want you to recognize how you come across when you speak. I want you to really sort of tap into and understand what your natural style and natural energy level is when you speak, because this helps us, as I say, be able to tone it up or tone it down if we're aware of what our sort of go-to level is. So we're going to do a little exercise here. So bear with me. I really hope you join in with this. It can feel cringe. I'm fully aware of that. But we have to step outside our comfort zones. We have to stretch ourselves if we want to improve as STEM ambassadors and be as inspiring as possible. So I want to put you into breakout rooms, and you're going to do this little exercise. You're going to have a partner, so probably 2 or 3 people in a breakout room. You are going to introduce yourself with your 30-second elevator pitch about you. Okay, so I want you to say who you are, what your job is, and what you love about your job. And when you say what your job is, what I would love is if you don't just say, for example, I'm a senior engineer in an engineering consultancy. I would love you to describe what the outcome of what you do is. So I'm a mechanical engineer. I work on innovation projects to design things that didn't exist before to help people in the world, improve the world, those kind of things. So think about the outcome of what you do in your job and what you love about your job. So no more than 30 seconds. And I want you to do it 3 times with your partner. Once, I just want you to introduce yourself as you would normally, okay? Then I want you to do it with super high energy. So really enthusiastic, really like on high energy motivation, okay? As if you are a children's TV presenter, really getting into how much you love your job. And then the 3rd time, I want you to do it with really low energy and just really relaxed, really calm, okay? Because it's useful for you to be able to see the difference between all 3 of those. And then I'd like your partner to feed back how they felt that came across and then swap over. So I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. I'm going to give you like a good sort of like 5 or 6 minutes to do this because I want you to be able to actually give each other feedback. So you should have 2 or 3 of you in a breakout room, and I'll let you know when you're going to come back in. All right, so it's your personal elevator pitch. 30 seconds is all we need. Normal style, super high energy, and then really low energy, and get your partner to feedback the difference. All right, thank you. So I have opened those breakout rooms. Are you able to see those and go to the breakout rooms? Jelena, is that working for you? Can you see a breakout room, for example? Okay. if anyone's not in a breakout room and they want to join one, then feel free to let me know and I can assign you to one. Okay, I think everyone's coming back now. Brilliant. So who wants to be brave and tell me what did you think about that? How did you feel when you did the 3 different styles? Or maybe what did you notice in your partner when they did the 3 different styles? Anyone want to volunteer? Put your digital hand up and I'll come to you.
I'll put my real hand up.
Oh, go for it.
So my partner and I approached it slightly differently. He did more kind of smiling and he dumbed down his words a bit in the more enthusiastic version. Whereas I completely hammed it up and I felt like a right idiot, but apparently it came across as quite natural and really high energy. And for me, I didn't really see much of a difference in him. But I think you have to really, like you said, go all out and act really stupid.
That's, yeah, exactly. And actually, it's so valuable to kind of feel that in yourself and see it. So in a program I do in the Stemazing Inspiration Academy, I get all the participants to film themselves doing it normal, high energy, and then low energy, so they can see for themselves what it actually looks like. And the general feedback is that the high energy one comes across a lot better, even though they feel, like you say, quite silly doing it. So it's useful to remember. It's just another thing to add into your toolbox of, depending on your audience, what you can do using your own skills and tools as that communicator. Anybody else? Oh yeah, John, what did you think? John Butler.
Well, I was fortunate in that I partnered with Jelena, and the problem we found is that because we've both been doing presentations for quite a time, we found it very difficult to try and do high or low energy. They all seem to come out the same. But the one thing that I think was important is something you mentioned before with the breakout session, and that is that if you're doing anything with schools and school children, then you really need to get them involved very early on.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, completely agree. And also, I think it's interesting you say you struggle to do the 3 different styles, because I think that takes practice in itself. We can get so used to our usual style and just how it is, that actually kind of forcing a different way is quite hard. But I think it's a valuable thing for us as performers, essentially, like communicators. You are in front of an audience and you are trying to get across a message. There may be times when doing it differently is actually going to work out best. So I think it's worth practicing, but you do have to step outside your comfort zone for sure and really go for it, like Hannah was saying. Anybody else? Yeah, James, what did you think? And then there's a few others. Yeah, James.
I was just gonna say, I think the key for me is like a bit of prep and knowing the audience. So obviously we didn't know who we were going to get paired with. We've predominantly probably never met the person we were paired with. So actually the normal one is probably quite corporate. You just sort of roll off what your job title was and what you did. But then going into a higher energy or lower energy scenario is kind of where you need the preparation, because a higher energy predominantly you maybe use for kids. But actually you would probably change what you say by using simpler words that they can relate to, or a different example that they can relate to. So having that time to prep would have been really helpful.
Yeah, no, exactly. And apologies, I sprung that on you all, and it was just throwing you outside of probably what you expected straight off. But I completely agree. And it's part of your prep is to think about not only what you're saying, but how you're going to say it. And that's sometimes the thing that we don't think about, or we think about last. And it's actually, I think, almost the first thing we should think about is how do we want to come across, and how do we want the audience to feel? And then what do we want to say? And what do we want to show them? Those kind of things. So that's brilliant. Thanks, James. Vijay, I think you had something to say as well.
Yes, it's really just an echo of what James said, so I won't repeat that. But anyway, our experiment was hampered because my colleague's computer didn't have a video and an audio. So I'm sure he has something on the chat about what he thought of what I said, which will be very interesting to see. I actually only did 2 things, which is my normal way of speaking, and one which might have had a trifle more energy, but not really considering what James said, that needs a bit of prepping to let's say, speak to a much younger school-going audience. And it depends to what kind of age among school children. If they are teenagers, that's different. And if they are very much younger than that, is different. Yeah. And I don't know if what I said would have been interesting to them. Thank you.
I'm absolutely sure it would have been, but I think you're right. It does take preparation, but you'd be surprised how well it can come across being high energy for also older students as well, because I think there's so many distractions. People are not used to just sitting and listening to somebody talking for a long time. So if you can make even your talks to older students at secondary school more high energy, I think it will also have a good impact. But yes, preparation is key, and thinking about the message for that age audience. Anybody else got any things to say? I can see a few comments in the chat as well. Depends on the audience. Yep, as the energy is transferred to the audience and vice versa. That's actually a really good point. If you've got a good, almost like rapport going with your audience, it gives you energy, and then that helps you give back more energy. So getting that, and I think it was like John said, actually, getting that interaction or bit of engagement right from the start will help you raise the energy in the room, and then you can keep that momentum going. And Michael has said, hey, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, my name is Radu.
Oh, hi, Radu.
Hi. So I'm a passionate engineer as you as well. So thank you very much for this. It's great. So I think it's about understanding as well. So giving the audience the right understanding of what you are saying at all the time. So let's say putting a bit low for audience to have a good understanding and give them a learn from what you are doing. So to take back home some learning from that, and that would be great.
Yeah.
So,
completely. Yeah, get that learning point across. Think about what the learning outcome is, or like I said, that key takeaway that you want them to have, almost like a single clear message you want them to have. And you can build on the same message to make it almost a bit more sophisticated, so that you can kind of range different abilities in the same lesson. So starting off really clear and simple and basic, and if they're getting it and if they're asking good questions, you can build on that.
Yeah, and also
brilliant.
to adapt the style. So for instance, for breaking ice, you can have a kind of high energy, and then slow it down, because you can't be all the time like that speed, because the audience will be tired, or they will lose their focus. So somehow, yeah, it's a play. It's a good playing this.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that, Radu. And Michael has said it pays to realize how you sound, and I completely 100% agree with that. So perhaps use a recorder when you rehearse your presentation. Absolutely, I agree. I would say go one step further and actually record yourself. Just get your computer set up, open a Zoom meeting just with you in it, record it and watch it back, because you will learn so much from how you come across with that. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody. Fantastic feedback, and well done for doing that little exercise, because I know it can be cringe to, you didn't get into engineering to be doing acting and all those kind of things that maybe you feel outside your comfort zone, but honestly, it can make a big difference. Just one more comment that's come up. Ellen has said, if you can get everyone to stand up and do something even really simple, it really helps the energy in the room. Yes, I love that. Raise things up, get people moving, because that raises energy. Absolutely. John, did you have a final point before we move on?
Yeah, one point I want to make. It's quite often said that humour is good for a presentation, which it certainly is, but it's also exceptionally dangerous, because if you get it wrong, you can't tell jokes. You can bring humour in, but if you get it wrong, it's very, very embarrassing. So you've got to be very careful of that.
Yes, yeah, you have to be quite a skilled performer to use comedy in there. Absolutely. The number of wedding speeches I've seen that have bombed when people don't get the comedy quite right, but okay, perfect. So I think after that, you'll probably be recognizing that my preference is that we try to be more on the enthusiastic side, so more on the higher energy side of delivery. And when you think about that in terms of preparation, I've interviewed quite a lot of actors and performers, and they all say to me to prepare for their performance, for their delivery, they think about their voice. So they'll do voice exercises beforehand to warm up their voice. They'll think about their body. They'll do warm-up exercises for their body. In a previous one of these training sessions, we talked about doing power poses to kind of get the high energy into your body and how important that is for your mental preparation. So think about that. Energy levels, if you, like we talked about movement, so get moving, get your body moving to get your energy levels up. Think about your expression. So your face is a fantastic way to communicate how you're feeling. Your eyes, obviously, eye contact. And if you remember only one thing, then smile. We said this all the way through and somebody put it in the poll at the beginning. If you look like you're enjoying yourself, others will kind of come on board with that and they'll feel positive about it as well. So smiling is very important when you are communicating how much you love engineering. Okay, fantastic. Any other final comments on that kind of delivery stuff? Because I'm aware we've run a little bit over time and we need to get onto our fun ball run activity. So any other final comments? Otherwise, we will crack on. Okay, thank you. So we are the fifth one of these STEM at home activities that we're going to look at today is the ball run. And this one is really good fun because you get the students building their own little roller coaster for like a ping pong ball or something else that's going to be able to run down the track. Now for this, I'm going to stop sharing. So you can see me full screen, but essentially if you go on the IMechE STEM at home page, you'll see all the prep resources. You've got your video that you can kind of follow along to get comfortable delivering it. You've got the worksheet that's got all the warm-up activity, like all the resources you need, step-by-step instructions, a quiz at the end, key STEM messages and facts, and some fun facts in there as well. So honestly, it is such a good resource. I would really, really recommend you take a look at that. I'm just going to stop sharing. There we go. So you can see me full screen. All right. So if anyone's got these bits and pieces at home, feel free to join in with us. So we need some cotton reels. All right, which you can have wooden ones or plastic ones. I actually got these in my IMechE kit that was sent to me. So I applied for the IMechE resources kit to be sent to me and got that in the post, which was super. So all these things have come from that kit. You need some bulldog clips. You need some dowels and you need some straws and some blue tack or white tack as well, and of course something that you're going to use to travel down your track. So a ping pong ball I've got. Okay, so if people want to join in with us, then that would be brilliant. Just move that out of the way and I'll angle the camera a little bit so you can see what I'm doing first of all. So first of all, what we want to do is create basically our like supports of the track, which we're going to use the cotton reel and the dowel for, and we're going to just use the cotton reel as our base to be able to hold the dowel upright. And if you put a little bit of blue tack on the bottom, then it helps hold the cotton reel in place and you can sort of initially hold that dowel in place. And we're going to take one of our bulldog clips and clip it on somewhere along the height of that dowel, depending on how high you want your track to be. And it says in the video, but a good little trick for this is to add a little bit of blue tack either on the dowel or in the bulldog clip, so that when you stick it in place, it actually does stay. Otherwise they can slide up and down quite easily. And another little trick I would say is to take another bit of blue tack and make it into a elongated shape and then wrap that around the base of your dowel so that you can add a bit more, fix your dowel in place a little bit more securely so it doesn't rattle around depending on the hole size in your cotton reel. Okay, so you've got that, that's the basis of the stand. And then the way that you add the track to that, just checking if people are okay in the chat, no, that's fine. The way we add the track to that is you take another dowel and you just simply put it through the bulldog clips, and you'll see just naturally under gravity that it will go at a bit of an angle like that. And then that's sort of one half of your track there. In the video, it does say you can use an elastic band to wrap around here if you want to make that super secure. I actually find that just another little bit of blue tack kind of on the bottom there, because it's so light, another little bit of blue tack will just secure that in place so it doesn't move around too much. So that is super easy. That's one side of one element of your track. So you need to make another one exactly like that to mirror it on the other side. And then you've got these two bits together like this. And essentially what you'll do, see if we can see that, is you'll put your track through that one. You'll put another dowel through the other side to go through that one. And there you go. Hey presto, that's going to be your track. So then you can literally just run your ball down there. So that will be sort of one element of your track. And what we're going to do is build out and connect more bits together. All right, so the way that we're going to make a different bit of the track, obviously with this bit, we've got it at a certain height. Now for a roller coaster, we want to have different heights, and we're going to use gravity and talk to the children about gravity and force and acceleration and friction so that we can start to build a longer track together. So we'll put these two bits to one side for now, and I'll just put them there so you can see. And we're going to do exactly the same thing with another dowel, another cotton reel and another dowel. But this time we're going to want to make, I would say, let's do this one slightly lower with the bulldog clips so that we can create the bottom section of our track. So I'm just going to secure that in place, nice and easy. And obviously with the children, you can give them the basic building blocks. So the very first bit I showed you, building the upright and then putting the one side of the track on. And then depending on their age, you can leave them to it to come up with their own designs of how we then going to create a roller coaster. And the aim of the game is that we want to have our vehicle or our ping pong ball in motion for as long as possible. So if they can create their longest track, their longest roller coaster track, then that would be the winning one. Okay, so you see I've done, this is the first one I did, and this was the second one I did. So you can see I've got the bulldog clips at slightly different heights. And the aim of this is that if we put the first two back together and then we put the second two in place, there's one I did earlier about the same height. And then we can take two dowels. So we've got two sections of track, and we use one of our straws as the connector of the two bits of track. So you can put your dowel into one end of the straw, the other dowel into the other end of the straw, and then you've got a longer section of track. Now, what I found when doing this with my own children was that they're only 6 and 8, so they're young audience, but they struggled to thread the dowels through the bulldog clips without knocking the whole thing over. So what we ended up doing was actually just placing the track on top. And if the angle is not too steep, then it stays in place. So we can do that again with another section of track. There we go, join those two bits together. And then you can see that we are gradually getting our track built up there. And do another test, obviously, to see if the ball actually works or if we've got that too far apart. There we go. Oops. So what we might need to do there is put a bit of blue tack on the end there to hold it in place. And one of the brilliant things it says in the video and the workbook is that this is one of those exercises that takes perseverance. And that is another good engineering skill to talk to the children about, is that we very rarely get something, you know, with this kind of trial and error of design when we're doing hands-on things. To get it right first time is quite unusual unless you've done a lot of design and analysis. So if it's okay for it to not work initially, and then we tweak the design and we improve it. Okay, so now let's see if that works. There we go. It runs all the way down. And then what you can do is go taller and taller. So if I put this bit to one side, you can see how to make the even taller bits, because obviously we're quite at the top here. But what you can do is take that section like we've just made for here, these first ones, and then get another dowel and connect that into the bulldog clip so that it connects the two together. And then you put your bulldog clip that you're going to use to rest the track on there, so that you've got an even taller section. So then you can see how this is starting to come together. You've got a taller section, middle section, shorter section. So you could keep going and build up your roller coaster and keep going like that. So it's quite a good activity to do with children in teams, because the children can be making the different sections. They can be practicing and testing as they fit the different sections together, and seeing how far they can get their ball to travel, or how long they can keep it in the air or not touching the ground. So that is related to how steep they make their tracks as well, because the shallower, the longer it's going to be in motion. Brilliant. So I don't know if anybody managed to try that at home. I know it required quite a few bits and pieces. We've got some comments in there saying, a good engineering tip is to explain a good fixation is given by 2 points. Yep. And I think it's important to keep the improvement by discussion and invite everyone to come up with proposals. Yes, I like that, Radu, thank you. Yeah, get people to come up with ideas of how they can improve it. Absolutely. Brilliant. So anybody got any comments on that one? Have you tried this track before? How have you got on before with it? So if I show you, for example, let's put these together here. So you could move these further apart. You could make this one shorter and get a steeper angle and keep going, and maybe even get the children to comment on each other's and look at each other's designs and see how they would improve them. Fantastic. So any questions, any comments from anybody? Any other thoughts on kind of doing practical hands-on activities and how you get them to work well? Got a comment in there. I did the bottle rocket activity a couple of weeks ago. We had a big table on the board where every time we had an issue, someone could write it up, and then we could discuss what caused the problem in the next column and how we're planning on fixing it. It's a really good way to get them thinking about engineering problems. Yes, that's fantastic. I love that. That's absolutely brilliant. Well done. Before we go today, feel free to keep adding your comments in the chat. But because this is the last of our first series of 5 sessions, I wanted to get your feedback on what you'd like to see in future in these sessions. So if you don't mind going back onto that same Slido poll, I've just got a couple of questions in there. So if I remind you of the code, it's 036340. And you should see, just to wrap up, oh, thank you, Jelena, for putting it in there. You should see a question saying, what would you like to see more of in future STEM Ambassador training sessions? So I've put some ideas in there, like, do you want to continue having those hints and tips like we do in the first half of the session about kind of you as a STEM ambassador and building your personal skills? Do you want to see more STEM activity examples you can run with a primary audience, more you can run with a secondary audience? Do you want more opportunities to kind of share and learn from each other? Do you want more opportunities to connect with each other in the sessions or outside of the sessions, or anything else? If you've got any other ideas, please put them in the chat so we can see those. That would be really helpful. Or you can use this Slido Q&A. I really appreciate all the engagement you're giving us today. Thank you. It's so helpful. Okay, so we've got lots of people saying they like the hints and tips to build personal skills. People saying they'd like more primary school examples, more secondary school examples. Fantastic. And quite a few people saying they want more opportunities to share and learn from other STEM ambassadors in the sessions. Just quickly, if anyone who put that down, how would you like that to work? Like, do you like the breakout room piece? Do you like hearing other people's experience? How would you like that to work? Feel free to put in the chat or to speak up. Because I agree that that's a fantastic resource that we have, is sharing everybody's experience. So it's great to hear more of that. Breakout room was amazing. Maybe some sessions in small groups discussing common issues. Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you. Thanks, Hannah. Okay, brilliant. And one last quick poll, I know we've only got a couple minutes, is would you prefer this type of training to be in person or remain online like we're doing now? So if in person, would you like it at the IMechE HQ in London? Or if you'd like another location, please can you maybe put out where would suit you? Or would you like it to remain online? Or a mix? Some people have put a mix. Some people said remain online. A couple people said at the IMechE. Cool, because this is useful to help us think, what is most valuable to you as the STEM ambassadors? How can we give you what is going to benefit you the most? Radu's put online is good as gives flexibility. So the majority is saying remain online, but there are people who are saying they'd like a mix of in person and online. So we can think about how best to do that. BJ said online is fine. Videos are good, but David said online is during the day. Okay, so timing wise, during the day is a bit more difficult. Okay, we can think about that. Lots of people saying online is good. Probably wouldn't travel unless it was for a lot longer. Yes, okay, yeah, so for just an hour session, yeah. Evening would be good. Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much for that feedback. That would be really useful for us when we're thinking about how to plan the next lot of sessions, which will start later on in the year. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody. Jelena, I'll pass back over to you if you've got any closing comments.
I haven't prepared anything in particular, but I'm really pleased we had such good engagement with everybody today, and thank you for attending. I know some of you, I've recognised your little pictures, even if you haven't put your cameras on, have been coming throughout the series. Thank you to Alex for doing such a great job with this, and I think you're the best example of the delivery with enthusiasm and a very natural energy. So you've done a fantastic job, and hopefully we will put together the next series, which you will find valuable, and incorporate as many of your ideas as possible. Please keep telling us what you want, what works well. I'm trying to make it happen. So if you want something, please let me know, and I will do my best to materialize it, as it were. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And thanks very much, Jelena, for organising it. It's been really good. Thank you, everybody.